Misty James, Violet Adamz has said she has been studying the tapes of the matches that you two have had over and over, and she says she has found the weakness that will get her that championship.
See, one thing, Violet Adamz, you think you have found the weakness, girl. You have no idea. Let me tell you one thing. I have beat you so many times in the middle of that ring. How many times are you going to come after this belt? How many times am I going to beat you? God only knows. Let me tell you one thing, Violet Adamz. You're one tough lady. You're one tough chick because you keep coming back and you keep coming back. Unlike the other girls. They just drop off and give up. But you are one tough girl, Violet. You just keep coming after this belt. You just keep coming after me. Well, girl, that's fine. I still have one more trick up my sleeve. You just better get yourself prepared. Better get yourself ready. Because tonight is the night. Oh, and baby, it's a good night for fighting.
Violet Adamz, is that the infamous tape in your hand that says this is what is going to help you regain
This tape?
the Southern States Women's Championship?
This tape right here? Yeah, Misty, I've studied all the tapes over and over and over again. Misty, by now y'all know there's no give up in me. Not since the Hatfields and McCoys has there been a feud as violent as the one between Misty James and myself. Misty, I have you figured out, and you know it. So that's why you run. That's why I chase you all the way to West Virginia. That's why I chase you up to Pennsylvania. That's why I chase you down to Florida. I've held the title before. I've taken it from you, and I did it with a smile. Rest assured, Misty. And you know, I'll give you credit, Misty. You're tough. I've never had this kind of problems out of a female athlete ever in my entire career. But, Misty, tonight it ends because the title is coming back to South Carolina. Greenville, South Carolina. Anything else?
No, ma'am. Good luck this evening.
The proof is in the tape, Misty.
Championship. First, the challenger from Greenville, South Carolina, Violet Adamz. And her opponent from Gate City, Virginia, she is the Southern States Women's Champion, Misty James.
And we've got women's action on our hands. Misty James, the Southern States Women's Champion, going one-on-one against Violet Adamz in this one. These two ladies have faced off against each other a number of times here in Mountain State Wrestling. No strangers to one another, definitely not friends. Misty James with a decided height advantage, Violet Adamz with a decided, well, weight advantage. And Violet Adamz taking the time to show off her workout routine for the fans at ringside. And they circle each other, and Misty James has got her with an armbar. She tokes it one more time for good measure, holding on to her wrist lock, really cinching it in there, and you can see the pain on the face of Violet Adamz as Misty James does all she can to increase the amount of pain on her deltoids as she goes behind Violet Adamz and really cranks into her, transitioning from a hammer bar, transitioning from an arm bar into a hammer lock. Ryan Anderson asking Violet Adamz if she gives this one up. Violet Adamz saying no. Misty James transitioning over into a side headlock. And Misty James showcasing some very effective scientific wrestling in the opening moments of this one, as she goes back to the hammerlock on Violet Adamz, who finally finds position in the ring and goes behind Misty James with a hammerlock of her own. And the fans here today, they love Misty James, and you can hear them showing their support for her in the background as she takes Violet Adamz down. And now she's got those legs locked up, taking some time to shout out to her fans. And she's given a lot of time to Violet Adamz on this one. She really needs to lock in that submission maneuver, or Violet Adamz is going to take her to task, and Misty James really pulling back on that leg now. But Violet Adamz, she's not that far away from the ropes. This is poor ring positioning right now. But Misty James using all of her weight that she can over top of Violet Adamz there, and she goes into a front face lock, the smartest move she's used thus far in this contest, cutting her off a little bit more from that ring rope that's so close at hand. But Violet Adamz using her strength to muscle her way back up to a vertical base. Misty James holding on to that front face lock for all she's worth, and she fires out of it with a European uppercut. Nails Violet Adamz with a forearm to the gut and hits her with a clothesline that brings the big lady down to the mat. As she goes for a cover and hooks the leg, Violet Adamz kicking out at 2. The Southern States Women's Champion doing her darndest to stay on top of things in this one. She doesn't want to give up the offense for a moment to Violet Adamz. Violet Adamz is perfectly capable of doing a lot of damage in a very short span of time. And you hear the groans coming from Misty James as Violet Adamz nailed her in the gut there. And now this is what I was talking about. In a very short time span, Violet Adamz turning this thing around in fine fashion for herself, nailing Misty James with those vicious battering ram-like shots, and now taking her to task there. Misty James falling to that bottom ring rope there, using the top rope to pull herself back up, and Violet Adamz is right there to meet her as she nails her in the breadbasket with a forearm shot and a back elbow to the head of Misty James. Misty James firing into Violet for all she's worth here. A kick to the gut. And these women, this is personal. It's as personal as it gets in wrestling. They've had so many contests against one another. Violet Adamz doing everything she can every time she goes out there to get inside the head of Misty James. And you can't help but think she has in her mind that Southern States Women's title at every turn. What better way for her to showcase how important she is as a competitor in the sport of professional wrestling than to take down the Southern States Women's Champion. What a feather in her cap it would be to win that title off of Misty James. As you see the big lady nail her with a snapmare, and standing on the hair, Misty James pulls her up by her arms. And what a vicious maneuver. Insulting, painful, and absolutely effective. Violet Adamz taking that time to mock Misty James, clapping for her, and going right back to that standing hair pull. And Misty James, you know she's feeling every bit of this at the tips of those roots there. That's a lot of pain to absorb. But Misty James rolls her up there. She's got both the legs. Violet Adamz, though, still able to power out that pinfall attempt. And she brings that sledgehammer down, and she brings it down hard across the back of Misty James. That vicious X-handle shot, and now just nailing her in the back repeatedly, falling on her with a very heavy elbow drop. And Misty James trying to roll away from the offense of Violet Adamz as Violet Adamz follows after her into that corner there, now choking Misty James. Referee up to the 4 count, doesn't reach 5. Misty James, though, she is in a world of trouble right now. And Violet Adamz knows it. She's zeroing in on that trouble right now. That trouble Misty James is experiencing, that's Violet Adamz' opportunity. And it's knocking right now. Misty James, though, the Southern States Women's Champ, not to be undone so easily, just firing away at Violet Adamz, making a comeback for herself, but Violet Adamz ends that comeback with a well-placed thumb to the eyes, and now motioning for Misty James to get up. Misty James rubbing away at her eyes right now. Violet Adamz getting tired of waiting for her, just falls into her with that vicious fist on the way down. And the complexion of this one has changed drastically from the opening moments. Violet Adamz standing over top of her, and she comes down hard on that lower lumbar region. And you can bet everything you have Misty James is feeling that one as well as that one. Violet Adamz is a world of hurt right now for Misty James, as she grabs a hold of the head of the Southern States Women's Champion, pulling her back by the hair, but Misty James grabbing a hold of Violet Adamz and whipping her on over. Violet Adamz struggling to get back up to her feet before Misty, and she does, and she runs into her, nails her with a running double axe handle, and now she's going to send Misty James off the ropes. Goes for a big clothesline, Misty ducks. Misty misses with a clothesline, and Violet Adamz nails her with a running forearm shot to the back, and Misty James once again finds herself on the canvas. Violet Adamz literally standing on her back, and now using the ropes to her advantage, and using the ropes for an assist there, using her already sizable weight advantage over Misty James in an increased capacity with that assist, grabs her by both legs, pulls her out of the corner. Misty James once again feeling in the lower back area, and Violet Adamz methodically taking her time with her now, and she's going to send her out of the corner. Violet Adamz signaling to the fans she's going to put that title around her waist, but Misty James up and over with a sunset flip. She's got her cinched up 2 and 3, and this one is over, fans. And the Southern States Women's Champion defying the odds here today, overcoming the attempt by Violet Adamz, and still your champion, your Southern States Women's Champion, Misty James.